Yes, 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 indeed. Nitro's the glory, but E-Buggy pays the bills. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another RC News Show with Mr. Max Mort. What's going on, Maxie?
I'm good. It's been really hot in here. Like, no AC. You know, it's France. I don't know if they've ever heard about an AC. But yeah, really hot everywhere. I had an exam today, and it was like a cold sauna. Like, you know, when you let it cool down, but don't let the moisture out. And then it smelled like shit because there was like more than 100 people doing an exam for 3 hours. So yeah, it's definitely a culture shock in that sense when it gets hot like this.
You're missing that Finnish weather. All right.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely. Well, you'll be back home very shortly. All right, guys, we are back for another RC News Show. We want to say a big thank you to all of the sponsors that make this possible. Remember, there are links for all of these sponsors and companies in the written description of this podcast. And they are our main sponsor, Jconcepts. Big shout out to JC. Jconcepts. Been building my Jconcepts reactor over the weekend. Still have a lot to do. Big shout out to High Tech RCD for your server and charger needs. Sidewinder Fuels, Invisible Speed, ML Toys for all your ride-on and power wheel replacement parts. Beach RC, Techno RC, Get Shit Done Coffee, what I'm drinking right now. Elite RC Productions headed up to INS as this weekend. One Up Racing, trying to get Randy Castle on her for a show. A Main Hobbies, SMC Racing Batteries, SJ Racing RC Maintenance, and don't forget the Shores Truck Nationals coming up the weekend of October 17th, 18th, and 19th. I believe that's the dates. A big shout out to our drivers, David Ronnefalk, Robert Battier, Alexander Hagberg, Matty G, Juna Hutton, and Mason Fuller. And yeah, some news about Ronnefalk and Latera, what they just done. And a big shout out to our patrons and YouTube members. You guys will get early access of this. And you have gotten some early access to some stuff. I want to thank all of you guys who have been supporting us via the YouTube memberships and the Patreon. Max has been kind of taking the charge of the YouTube membership. I still do the Patreon. I was going to go live and let you guys watch me build in the reactor over the weekend, but you would have seen me fumbling, building this without gaskets, having to take them apart. So, yeah, no, I didn't do that. But if you like what we're doing, you want to support us, you can head on over to our Patreon or YouTube membership. And for the price of a cup of coffee per month, you can support this podcast. We greatly appreciate it. On the road to 10,000 subs, hit that sub-like notification button. I think we're at almost 9,400, so 600 more to go. And then Max is going to do something special for 10,000 subs. I have no idea what he's going to do. Maybe he'll eat some barbecue. Yeah.
Oh my God. What could we do?
You know what?
I don't know.
I was thinking that you wouldn't be able to try Texas barbecue when we go to the Worlds, but you could eat Texas tofu barbecue.
I think they must have some like vegan stuff too. I mean, to be honest, like the barbecue sauce probably has gravy in it, but like
you didn't see
I think
that
there must be
eating the mushroom sauce.
Yeah, that's what I think. That I think, you know, if I don't know, maybe I'll get through it. But
I don't know. Anyway, anybody that's going to the Worlds and knows the area, Austin and all that stuff, if you know a good vegan barbecue place that we can take Max so he can enjoy Texas barbecue, let us know, because this guy is going to enjoy regular Texas barbecue. So I'll be all right. And also a big shout out to all of our YouTube, sorry, not just YouTube, but the NNRC squad around the world. You guys make it awesome. We know you guys are all racing right now, so good stuff. Racing is going on. It's summertime. Everybody's out racing. And I just have to say 2 happy birthdays. Happy birthday. As I'm recording this, June 8th, it's my son Kendry's birthday. He's 14. It's like he's disappearing and turning. It's just like I'm losing my little. He's lost my little boy and is growing into a man. And I want to say happy birthday to Lance McDonald, who celebrated his birthday this past Saturday. Happy birthday to both of them. All right. So, Maxie, I think we don't really have much to catch up on. I think we should just get right into some nitty gritty. What do you think? Or did you have something you wanted to say?
Not really. I already complained about heat and sweaty people here, including me, of course. So I think we're good. You still enjoy my baguettes almost every day. So
I don't know how you're gonna make out in Texas. It's gonna be hot. You're gonna melt.
no, but I think is it like very humid in there? It's like the desert,
I
right?
think it'd be like Redavon.
No, Redawon's fine. Redawon's
No,
fine.
maybe hotter than Redavon.
Yeah, I mean the heat is not the bad part. Like like humidity is the heat and humidity is what really gets me. And the thing is, like, I'm pretty sure where we're staying will have an AC.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so like when you have an AC, it's like fine. You know, but the thing is, like here, like the only time where I'm really struggling is like now when I'm recording a podcast in my apartment or like during the night because like there's no AC. You know, so
You got a fan?
no, because I cheaped out. I didn't want to buy. I was like hoping it would never get too hot for that, but yeah.
I would.
I mean, it's not like that hot. It's like 30 something. So
Hey, you know what? We gotta pay some bills, and you know what? We guys have some NNRC merch that you guys should pick up over with our friends RC Racing TV, who actually broadcast like 3 different races throughout the weekend. I think it was past weekend. So thank you to them. You could go over to their website and pick up some NNRC merch. We're going to put up some special shirts there for the World Tour shortly. Thank you to RC Racing TV. And also a big shout out to Jconcepts for all their support.
We're just about to watch the latest No Name RC podcast. Do you know what? Good news. You can now get NNRC merch from the RC Racing TV website.
Yeah, you can get hoodies, shirts, hats, and even pint glasses.
I'll drink to that. Head over to nnrc.rcracingtv.com and get your merch today.
All right. Also, a big shout out to High Tech RC. Looking for top tier performance and reliability in your RC setup? High Tech RCD has you covered with industry leading chargers and servos for both surface and air applications. Whether you're bashing, racing, or taking to the skies and water, High Tech's advanced technology delivers power and precision, durability when you need it most. From high torque servos to smart, efficient charging solutions, trust High Tech to keep you in control. High Tech, powering passion, elevating performance. Visit hightechrcd.com today and let them know that you heard about them on the No Name RC podcast. All righty, Maxi. So we got some industry news going on, both big moves, and one I think is a very good move. The other one, I have no idea what's going to happen. So in the industry news, we have Javier Garcia appointed as the IFMAR Interim IC Section Chairman. And then in the second bit of news, which came out a little earlier, was that Rick Howhart leaves Team Associated after 19 years with them. And I don't know where he's going. I have not heard anything. I actually think that would be a great conversation with that man on this show, which I need to go. Both him and Javier, to be honest. All right, let's get into what's going on with Javier. I actually really like Javier quite a lot. I have a lot of respect for him. I think he was an excellent. I think he's excellent for RC. He kind of gets it. He wants to move things forward. Is he perfect? Nope. But I definitely think this is a good move for IFMAR going forward. So let's have a quick look here at the news. Well-respected race referee and former FTE president Javier Garcia has been appointed the IFMAR Interim IC Section Chairman, making the announcement over the weekend, the Spaniard will take over the role for the remainder of the 2026 season from Sander de Graaf. After decades of service to the world governing body, Dutch native de Graaf made his final appearance in the role at the 1/8 scale on World Championship in Chile last December. Garcia has vast experience in the sport, having served as the president of the European governing body for 5 years and refereed numerous world championships. Has always been respected for his approachability and his ambition for the promotion of racing and the hobby in general, as well as always striving for a better racing experience for racers attending sanctioned events. In being appointed to that role, Garcia has promised to prepare a 4-year plan with the goal of leading IFMAR into a much-needed new era of organization. Oh, wow. I'm going to read this really quickly. What he sent out a letter. It goes, Dear... Go ahead,
Can
Max.
we read just his 3 main goals? Because this is like really long. Because he highlights lower on, he highlights these 3 goals. So I think these are the most interesting part of this.
All right. So I will put my energy into 3 main goals. I will attend IFMAR IC meetings in 2026, MRTM, Lazzalo, Club Alamistico, Cinco Cali, and Texas, acting as IFMAR interim section chairman, being responsible of those events from IFMAR side on the track. Number 2, I will create according of last IFMAR IC meeting, IFMAR IC commission / working group with the best group of persons to lead the IFMAR IC section around the world together with the blocks. And point number 3, I will prepare a 4-year plan by the end of the year to apply for the IFMAR IC SC position and lead IFMAR IC section into a new era in the organization of IFMAR, improving general quality, communication, marketing, and driver experience. So just so I can clarify here, he is now in charge of all nitro races within IFMAR.
Yeah, and 5th scale as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nitro and 5th scale. So yeah, I mean, those 3 goals like kind of highlight. I mean, I think the number 1 is kind of self-explanatory. Number 2, in my opinion, is interesting because it seems like he's planning to put together a working group with the blocks. So, but back in the day when it was really going after IFMAR on this show, the biggest thing was that we was really giving them shit for being very opaque. Like they weren't transparent, basically. Like they didn't give much info. Things were outdated. Then some decisions kind of just popped out of nowhere. Whereas I think with the new administration, it's been much better. And I think Javier has been I think Javier really changed EFRA for the better when he did it. And I feel like this is exactly what he did for EFRA. So more collaboration, more communication, and then sort of more transparency as well. And then sort of the third point there was that the 4-year plan. I think like this is very vague what he says, but at the same time, like the whole EFRA media thing that we have, like that is basically like he put that project to start. Like he like was the I don't want to say like the first one or the only one, but he was the president when all of that happened, you know. And his history basically is that he was the EFRA president and then he resigned after a few years. And I'm pretty sure that his reasons for resigning were that he felt that things couldn't be changed a lot. Like he felt like his hands were tied behind his back because how sort of slow EFRA is. And in IFMAR, that is not the same thing. You know, in IFMAR, you don't have the AGM. What you have in IFMAR is you have an administration and they vote, and then that's it. I don't know how many guys they have, like 5 or 6 guys. Eric Anderson is the president. Then do you know the other people in there? So there's the chairmen for each section, and then are there other?
Yeah, Eric. I think Carlos, Javier. The other gentleman from Raw, Tim. His last name, I forget his last name right now. Tim Caporal.
Yeah.
Tim Caporal, and I think
Clayton, is Clayton there?
Clive.
Oh, Clive.
The Femca
Clayton
guy.
is with Roar, right?
I could be wrong about the guy Clive, or who, I can't remember who is but I believe it is the guy who tried to mediate this stuff between China and what happened with FMR.
Yeah.
But I know Eric, now Javier, Tim Caporal, and I think Carlos too, to be honest. Carlos is
What would be Carlos's position? I don't really know.
for a side of things. Who would be
Could
representing that?
be. Maybe that might be true. I don't really know for sure, but yeah. Basically, I don't know. I feel like Javier has been good. I don't really know him. Like, I've never worked with him, and I don't really know him like well enough to say like what's his goals, and like 'cause obviously on the show we're being big advocate for like RCGP and stuff like that, and he does seem to be more open to that than the old guard. But then again, like, I don't know. At the AGM, the idea I got of him that people were quite protective of the system that they had. I still haven't done my AGM rant, by the way. I still need to do that. No, I did it maybe at some point. Can't remember. But I feel like he was one of the voices who was somewhat protective. Like, he's definitely part of like the new guard, like Rumble and him, and I'd even say like some of the on-road guys that I'm not that like aware of from the UK. They all are kind of on the side of like the organization is too old. And then there's like the old guard, which is especially the who represent the federation, like each country's federation. There's a lot of people that are like from the old guard, like things like people I haven't really heard of before, haven't really seen them races ever, and then they are like kind of, they don't want to change things. Basically, they like the way things are. They want the AGM to be the way it is. They don't see an issue with how things are going with EFRA. And I don't think they even necessarily see a way to grow. They just don't want things to change because like things are going, I guess they view that things are going okay.
Well,
yeah,
that's a rant for another time about EFRA, what we've done before. I think I like this move. I think Javier is forward thinking. From people that I've talked to, he's worked very closely with RC Racing TV. Those guys talk very highly of him. The issue with you, Max, is if they're in the resistance and tying themselves to trees, it's like that's
well, that is why I don't want to criticize like people like Rumble or Javier or.
We got to give them time.
Yeah, well, the thing is that I don't think we like have too much time, because I feel like there are like some classes that are really suffering and so on. So like things need to evolve, and I feel like we are competing with all of other sports. So like, yeah, I feel like we need to be somewhat fast.
You know what?
But also, I think they have worked with these people much longer than I have, and they care about this part of working within RC. So they have a much higher threshold to be like, you guys are fucking idiots, we should do this, and be like the very aggressive voice for change. So at the same time, I do think they are open-minded to change. Like, I'm not yet sure if they are not voicing it as aggressively as I would be because they don't believe it, or because they see that it not as a functioning tactic for them to maintain their position in the organizations. So that's why I don't really know yet what's going to happen, because I feel like we need more aggressive or
All right.
resistant voices in it. Yeah.
We know that. We know that. We know that
Yeah.
about you. But I think the best way to do this is to actually talk to Javier about it. I think he's.
Yeah, I agree.
think he's. See, this is. I'm not going to go on a tangent. This is something that we've talked about off.
Yeah.
We all want the same thing, but we all have different tactics. All right. I think it's. I will repeat. I think it's a good move. I think this is part of removing some of the old guard. You'll see what it leads to in the end. And let's.
Can I say?
Go
Can I
ahead.
say one more thing about EFRA? Because now we're kind of talking about it.
Yeah,
It'll be just
go
a
on.
short thing.
Remember, we said this is going to be 90 minutes. We're already at 21:50.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, this is going to be just a short one. One big thing that I don't know if I mentioned when I talked about this with Will, but after going to the AGM, like I noticed that it's not necessarily the chairman that are the problem. It's the way things are within the AGM. Like the people who go there, they are not necessarily that aware of what the actual racers want, or even what the media of RC needs. Like they don't have a clear idea of it, and the language barrier is insane there. I think, like, I'd say probably half of the votes that we did, like in a real democratic institution, would be called like not correct votes, because people didn't understand what we were voting on. When we was choosing venues in the IC section, I think third of the votes were casted wrong, so they didn't count, and it was like very silly mistakes, and the only reason was because they didn't understand English, so like I think before we used to blame a lot on the chairman and talk about how if we just get the right guy in, things will change. But I think after going there, like, it's even worse than I thought for like the way things are worked on, the democratic institution and blah, blah, blah. Like, it doesn't really work. So I think before I was like, the AGM is good, but we just need to have people in control who want to do things right. Now I think like there's no saving the AGM. Like, I feel like we should vote on who is the chairman, and then the chairman does their thing. Like, and also like we could vote on specific rule changes or venues and stuff like that. But I think the way things have gone in EFRA doesn't work, like, straight up. So I think I don't even want to have an AGM remotely anymore. I just don't want to have an AGM, like have the section meetings at the races and vote for the chairman by email or whatever, So yeah, that's my take on it. You're on mute, Ken.
Sounds like a case of everybody wanting to be a boss and not letting the person that's been voted in to do that job, let him do his job.
The thing, no, but I don't. It's not even a power grab. It's just lack of information.
No, I'm not saying it's a power grab. I'm saying it's so you kind of have to let a chairman go and do his thing, and then when you have to wait for votes, and votes are like that, and everybody got to vote on everything, and you got to have an AGM that costs a whole bunch of money. You waste a lot of time, and things still go wrong. Just let the person go in there. You voted for that person to do something. Let them go in there and do it.
Exactly. Yes.
And let the people go down there. Let the people that are voting for all the stuff, let them handle their federations and their stuff at their local federation stuff.
Exactly.
That sounds what you're trying to. All right.
Yeah.
Another move in the industry was this man, Rick Howhart. This is a OG picture of him. Rick Howhart leaving the Team Associated after 19 years. I believe Rick had Peak Performance, which was motors. I actually had these motors and batteries back in the day. Yes, I had NiCad batteries and brush motors back in the day. I don't know. I know he's an average, very good onward racer. I know he was somewhat involved in the development of the new TC8 and other on-road platforms. He races off-road too. This is another legend in RC I need to have on the show. But I wonder what's next for him. I have not reached out to him. I maybe I should have. But I wonder what is next for somebody that's worked with Associated for 19 years. And now, does he stay in RC?
To me, he posted on Facebook, like he does end his post that now on to the next chapter, which could mean anything. But he's like, it's pretty brief. It's basically like my time at Associated has come to an end. Thanks for all the hardworking AE employees and really team drivers I worked with over the years, as well as those who have supported me and my RC racing career. So, okay, there's two cases. One is he found a job outside of the industry, which pays more, which is, I'd say, the most likely one. Another thing is that some people are in disagreement, you know, like there's some drama behind it. Because I do feel like it's very weird because they released their touring car, which in which his development I'd imagine him to be very involved in, like 2 years ago now. So it was 2020, 2 years ago now, at the Worlds. So you'd imagine that 2 years on a project that I feel like is a pretty big project for the company, and then just abandoning that company, it sounds fishy to me. Like, it doesn't sound like it will make sense. So I think there's more to it than that, but obviously we have no idea of it. So that's just the feeling I got when I saw this post. And also, like, it was posted 4 a.m. my time, so that's like 9 hours. It was posted in the evening. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I just got the vibe that it wasn't like I would like to thank Associated for all the years. It was more like, all right, I'm out. Thanks. You know?
So what if he's going where a lot of former Associated employees have gone, and that is to AME?
But the thing, like, I don't really know what Howhart did at AE, but I would imagine that he would be very involved in like product design and stuff. Because wasn't he like one of these guys who did engines like back in the day, or motors back in the day?
Yeah.
So I'd imagine him to be quite savvy on a technical side. Has he been doing has he been doing like sales stuff in AE? What has he been doing?
You know what? Let me be a great investigative reporter. Hey, Mr. Rick Howhart, let's sit down and have a chat. I want to learn about more about your career. But I
feel like there's more to the story than
you always feel that way, though. You always
you blame me, Mr. Silly Season, Spidey sense, tingling, conspiracy, tinfoil hat.
Just because I beat you every year doesn't mean it ain't right. All right. So I don't know. Let us know in the comments what you know about Rick Howhart, what you think is going to happen, what you think about Javier Garcia. Do you think it's a good move? And will he bring some new, fresh ideas to IFMAR? And where is Rick Howhart going next? And would you like to have a chat with Rick Howhart? Would you like me to have a chat with him?
Have you ever had him on?
No, I have not. I've never really even spoken to him, so I think we should do that.
Yeah. No, he was more of an on-road guy, but he was really fast back in the day, I think.
I've been reaching out to a few people. What's happening is everybody's in race mode, and it's a lot of racing.
Yeah.
So, all right. Anyway, speaking of races, we're going to go through some results here. That is brought to you by Invisible Speed and Lewis Hamilton.
Stop scrolling. You want to be Lewis Hamilton? Learn something new with Invisible Speed. You can't do everything at 100% maximum speed. You have to be smooth. I mean, when you drive a real car, if you drive a real car, how do you just, when you get to a 90-degree corner to turn into the parking lot, do you go like that with the steering wheel? Do you like slam on the throttle and the brake? No. You probably turn the wheel smooth and get on the throttle smooth. Same thing with an RC car. If you want to learn more and make your speed visible, Stop scrolling.
Stop scrolling. You know what? Pekka will be on RC and Coffee and RC with me sometime this week too, and he's going to be talking about the VRC training and the competitions that they have in the YMP. So really cool.
Okay.
All right, let's get into race results. I think we might have touched on this our last show, but let's touch on it again because we got pictures. I like this. We got the 2026 JBRL round number 2 Jconcepts race report held at Proline. The only race held at Proline, I'm told. The only one. Track.
I think so.
Look,
Yeah.
we've been to this track and we've been to a JBRL there. You and I.
Yeah, it was fun. I
It was
think
a long day.
I think I ran. No, I didn't run the fastest lap, but I ran almost the fastest lap. Then I flamed out on like the second lap, but I ran almost the fastest lap in the main. So I remember I was pretty. It was pretty good.
It was you, me, Dagani, Eunice, Mike, JQ, J Smoker, and probably some other guys that I'm forgetting. Maybe Morale. It was fun.
Morale, yeah.
My first and only JBRL I've ever been to. It was fun. I enjoyed it. All right.
Yeah. Anyway, it was the young and up and comer. Well, I don't know how young he is anymore, but I mean, Jermaine Robinson.
20.
Yeah, he snatched the win in there. And Arredondo, I almost didn't recognize him. He's lost a bunch of weight, I think.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him in a long time because obviously I haven't gone to much racing in the USA, but he's always fast. I remember that time he was at Proline last time. He TQ'd in front of Mayfield and Drake. So
and there's Drake in third. Sorry, second.
Yeah. And then in e-buggy, again, Jermaine taking a win with Hackard in second and Drake in third. And Drake winning the
E-Truggy.
Truggy.
Yep.
This Truggy. Wait, no?
Yeah.
He won both
that
Truggy.
That was E-Truggy and then Truggy. Then it was Drake. It was Rhonda Drake. Saxton. Is that Saxton? Yep. And Chris Nelson.
Saxton winning 40 plus. Damn.
Well, good stuff. JBRL.
Yeah, but I thought to go through JBRL because like this is basically the California Nationals. You know, like when we look at Spanish Nationals, this is basically like California Nationals. Yeah, the level isn't as high as it used to be back in the day, but yeah, it's still pretty solid, I'd say.
Yep. Up next, we have. Oops, I need you to remove that. We have the BRCA Nationals. We also, is this the round that just happened?
Yeah, so this was last weekend. So this is the third round now. So I think Holsworth wins tool drive, Smith wins four drive. I'm not entirely sure that who is in the lead right now, but I know that Smith has won on two separate occasions. But yeah, they are actually have quite a wide field in the UK. Like with Will, when we do our 10 scale recaps, I feel like we talk a lot about the UK guys, of course, because he's from the UK as well. But like the Holsworths, they are coming up. Smith has already proven himself on an international scale. I think he made the main, didn't he, at the Worlds? Yeah, on four-wheel drive. I'm pretty sure he did make the main. And then obviously the Halls, Tommy is the European champion. Lee actually took a win in round 2. So yeah, good to keep up with that series.
Robin Hood, I love that track.
Yeah,
You know,
it has its thing. Yeah.
That's where the Euros is going to be on a track similar to Robin Hood. I'm very excited. It's been a long time since I've been excited to watch a 10 scale Euros.
Yeah, in Austrian state reg. It's going to be interesting to watch it, I think.
Because I interviewed Daniel Kopovec. That's coming out this week too.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the Spanish Nationals.
So we have Canas.
This happened weeks ago.
No. This is round 3. So this happened last weekend. Or I think by the time this comes out, it will be 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
But yeah, it's round 3 now. So last time I was hyping up Pariente, especially Daniel Pariente, who was the one who took the win in round 2. But Canas came in on this one and won both e-buggy and nitro. Daniel came in second, and then David Todd, friend of the show, in third. He's been actually looking pretty good this year. Adrian in fifth, Adrian Pariente, Batia in fourth. Figueiredo, I have to say, has had a real rough time this year in the Spanish Nationals. Usually he's one of the top contenders, but looks like he's been having quite a rough one this year. But it looks to be that Canas is on his way to yet another Spanish championship, both in e-buggy and nitro buggy, even though I don't know if we ever talked about it on the show actually, but we remember the thing where he was not allowed entry to the first round of e-buggy nationals because he signed up too late, basically. So yeah, still I think he'll be able to. I think he's leading both e-buggy and nitro buggy. So I think he'll end up winning. I think Parientes are getting closer all the time, but I feel like Canas is also getting better. So like, yes, the Parientes is getting closer, but then like Canas kind of gets better, and I don't know. I'm just waiting for the time when like somebody can beat him, because it was Robert winning like 10 in a row or more than 10 in a row, something crazy. And then after Canas won his first one, I think he's been winning like every year since then. And even the time when Robert won, he got kind of lucky because Daniel Pariente won his first national ever when Canas was like something like happened and he started to struggle, and like Canas was looking to win it, but then like Parientes came out of nowhere and took the win. So that was how Robert got his last one.
Talk about stacked, a stacked series, a stacked country of series. We always talk about the United States and the pro guys of that. Just like you said about the JBR, how it's stacked. This is stacked, and
I think nationals, yeah,
and it's like 3 different levels. You have Canas, who's on top. Then I would say Roberts there. I mean, he didn't have a good run this run. The Pariente is a little bit behind, and then you have Figueiredo to throw into the mix, who can be a wild card at any of that movement there. Then you have the guys like Josemi Sanchez and David Todd, who I didn't know was a friend of the show, but these type of young guys.
At least his dad is. He was really hyping us up at the World.
I really do like the Todds, but it's great. It's a great example of different levels of progress and ability in different stages, like within that top 10. It's very interesting. You have pro, former world champion in pro, semi, it's a very good mixture. All right, let's move on to the ONS, which happened 2 weekends ago at Adrenaline RC Raceway. And it was so here's the thing about the ONS. It was always going to be a race, whether it was going to be outdoor on the outdoor track or indoor on the indoor track. Now, leading up to this race, they had torrential rain. Like, it rained for 3 days straight. It rained the whole Thursday, the night before. And they waited to the last minute because they really wanted to run outside, and they decided to run outside. And they did. And you know what? They missed one. The track crew did an excellent job getting that track together and getting to run, where they only missed 1.5 hours of practice. Like, they were supposed to start at 10 a.m. for practice, and the track was ready by 11:30. And it got burnt, like it got blown up. Look, man, I will tell you this, that the ONS, after going to one, is probably one of the funnest races I've ever been to. It's very much relaxed. I watched a lot of it online. They had the Reactor Cup, which is the monster truck stuff. They had that indoors. They had Ryan Mayfield and Rivkin and Lee Setzer racing. That they actually did a lap around the. They did a race around the indoor course. They also made a monster truck course. And I think there you see there's Ryan Stiles Harris's car. Mayfield was running so there you see the Reactor Cup track, monster truck track. See, that would, and what they had planned to keep that track rough in there. So
Yeah.
they were gonna, because usually you use a slick with sauce or a ghost tread. So they tilled it up so it was gonna be rough. Anyway, they ended up racing outside. People that went had a good time, and I haven't heard any complaints about it, just like the last one. And here you can see they're going through the different tires. They were, look at that body. And Mayfield was running the that RC10 that just got released with the blue chassis and all that stuff, like the ready to run car.
Yeah,
was
the
running
RB10.
Oh, there you go. There's the monster truck guys. There's Sunny. That's cool. It's good to see these guys. And when I was watching these guys race, they was laughing and having fun. Trust me, this is a very fun race. It's so much different from going to the more higher intense races that I go to. So much different. I'm sure, I don't know how long that's going to last at this level, but it's a fun race to attend.
I think it's a two-edged sword in a way, where when these races start to become more significant, like now you had, I think Lee sets was Tollard there this time? He was at the first run at least.
He was there too. Tollard was there.
You had Rivkin, Tollard, Setsa, Mayfield. So I mean, those are some top guys, but you don't have like a true depth of the field. But I think when you start seeing guys like Champlin or Fend or maybe Lemieux or like different brands of guys coming there, I think that's when it starts to get more serious, you know? Like now it's kind of just like, yeah, there's a few guys, you're gonna probably end up in the podium if you are pro, like no matter what. But I think when there's gonna be more guys coming there, it will definitely become more serious. And I think it's kind of like maybe we want that, but at the same time, like, yeah, it's a two-edged sword. It's a two-edged sword. Like, there's pluses to both things. Like, we want the serious outdoors, which is competitive, but also like having just a chill series for once where the pros also come to is beneficial. You know, it is beneficial for the sport.
You know what though? With the big push for everybody that wants to go back to outdoor racing, I get it, and I'm about it. But this also reminds us why racing went indoors too, because of weather.
Yeah.
And big places come to race. Luckily, they got it all taken care of. Right now, I think they have to cross that point when it comes to the ONS. If it gets to that level of being too serious, right now, I think they enjoy it. It's very vintage heavy, because a lot of the vintage guys are getting that reminiscent of being outside. I figured out I am more of a retro mod vintage guy who likes the retro modded, like the new 10T they released it and the RC10 they released. That appeals to me. I liked this is just like gas truck appeals to me, but I like the modern gas truck, right? Now, when I go around, and I get it though, because when I go around, I look at the gas trucks and I'm like, oh, that's so cool. And I remember things about the gas truck. Well, that's the same thing with the vintage guys. And I get why they like that. I'm just not that that's just not my era. Now the gas truck, yes. 8 scale, yes. 10 scale, that's cool. But if I'm going to do any vintage racing, it's going to be retro mod, because I just like modern stuff, modern but vintage. But we shall see. We'll see if it gets to that bridge where we have to cross it, where you see more pros. But I would love to see some more big races or nationals or something like that go outdoors for a change. But you got to deal with weather, and you got to deal with people traveling. But 8 scale deals with it. All right. Anything you wanted to add before we move on from ONS, Maxi?
Well, actually, I had prepared to talk about RB10 and the mid-motor stuff at the end of the show, because there was a few comments after this race that, the rear motor cars are fast and so on. So I did some analysis on it. Yeah, so I'm gonna talk about it at the end, but that's something that came out of this race, because Mayfield was indeed running the RB10. So we're gonna talk about it later on in the show. So
Afra had its 1/8 scale GT Euros at Villarreal in Portugal. Famous off-road person that attended this was Borak Kilik. He actually podiumed in in electric version of this.
Electric.
And You know, they had 5 heats of nitro cars at this race. So they have 50 plus entries at this race. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but that's not bad for GT. Speaking of GT, I got an S-Works GT on the way here.
I think they have electric and nitro, so I think they had more than 50 entries. I think they had close to 100 entries.
Sorry, per class.
Yeah.
So,
but most people, I think, run just one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, the top guys run two, but most people do run just one class, I think.
So do you see Burak? He finished second. Well done.
Yeah. So Burak finished second. Alessio Mazzeo. Wait, let me get the results so I get this name right. But basically, he was quite dominant, I'd say. Alessio Mazzeo winning, TQing and winning. Burak in second, and Senesi, who I think won last year. I think he might have won Nitro last year after a lot of people broke. I can't remember exactly, but he's definitely won a few of these, or won one of these before. And then you said that we had one famous off-road guy. We also have Alex Sanquetin here.
Oh, is that Alex?
Yeah, that's
El
Machete.
Very on him.
Yeah. And yeah, so electric went way of Alessio Mazzeo, Burak in second, then Senesi, and Alex ended up sixth, Adam Issa in fifth. And then I think that's all of the guys that we pretty much know from this. But yeah, at the top, like the competition is really tight at the top.
It has Leonardo Valiente in her too.
Yes. So if we move on to the Nitro.
Oh my goodness! I just recognized that. I haven't seen this name in a long time.
Yeah, so let me actually bring this up on the screen. So we have Nitro here now. So finally, Andrea Catanzani gets his win in this class. Burak has a technical in the semi, so that's why he's not here. He was, I think, 5th or 6th after qualifiers, but he had a technical in the semi. That's why he's not in the Nitro one. But yeah, Leonardo Valente, I think back in the day, he was a JQ driver. Then he went to Radio Sistemi. And I think before even JQ, he was a Gamma. I could be wrong. Radio Sistemi, S-Works. Then 2022, I think he kind of quit off-road and switched to on-road. So he's running under the Genius banner and running 5th scale and 1.8 GT.
Really? He was your teammate for a little while. Didn't you guys travel together to the States at one point?
Not to the States. We did race a few races in Europe with JQ and him. And then I think there's the famous picture of us. Like, it was a Mimo buggy once. I criticized JQ.
I remember.
So, yeah, of the Euros. I think it was quite on the same level, racing at the time. Then I think he did have a few good runs. I think he might have made the Euros main when he was in Hungaroring, if I'm not wrong. He was a pretty good driver at one point.
Yeah, I remember him. GT, man, it's the scale I'm going to be racing. It's what they're racing here in the DR. I have a thank you to S-Works and BRC for their support. Miko Widmeyer and Bob and those guys are sending me one. I got to build it. I got an engine. I'm going to put a Nova in it. We're going to do I need to get some tires. I need to know what tires I can get and use too. So it's not in the big scheme of things, a very big class, but it is nonetheless one of the more popular on-road classes in the world. And especially there in Europe, especially in Asia, and actually in South America, Latin America. So it's fun. It's based off of 8 scale buggy, but it's now basically become 8 scale touring car, which is why I like the S-Works, because it's still very much 8 scale buggy ish. It looks like it.
Yeah, I think I don't mind. I don't personally mind the fact that they've transitioned away from the sort of, because back in the day, it was basically 8 scale buggies with short shocks. You know, that was the origins of this class. But I think I don't really mind the development of this class too much. I know JQ has been very against it. But I do see this class being actually not that bad, like for racing, because like tire wear is massive in on road, in foam racing anyway. So I don't feel like tires are that big of an issue for this class compared to the other classes. I think so far the cars aren't that expensive. The power in this class isn't like that crazy compared to like 1/8 on road. And then when you want like a GT looking car, I think these are pretty good for that. So I do have to say I'm a fan of this class. I do want to get into it, but it just like takes a lot of time, just like any other class. So
This guy's going to be doing it here probably later on this summer. Can't wait.
yeah.
Can't. Need to get my engine and tires. All right. Congratulations to Catanzani. I know he almost won this last year, almost, and finally gets the win. Let's go to the Italian race, which was held in Gusago at the Ospitine track, which we've both been to. And speaking of Leonardo Valente, I think that was the last time I saw him was at that track, to be honest.
Yeah.
Racing for BRC S-Works, if I'm not mistaken. So Marco Barrufolo has actually won a couple of races over the last few weeks, to be honest.
He's been pretty good with I think the new e-buggy, the Kyosho e-buggy with the saddle layout has been working pretty good. And then when they finally got the MP11 on the electric platform, they've been starting to do really well. So him winning it in e-buggy, Ongaro in second, Boots in third, so not a bad run for him. Polito in fourth, Trevisan, Berton, Noah Ben Mohamed, and then Astorino. He's pretty fast, Italian kid. To my knowledge, pretty young still, so good run for him. Boda, Massagia, not aware of him too much actually, so it's kind of a new name. Eric Likey, so the British guys making the trip, they often go here. Then Birkin Kilic and Desione. Desione actually one of the guys who got hired, well, maybe not hired, but joined Serpent over the silly season. So he's racing in Italy. And I don't know why Burak isn't here in electric. Maybe he had something happen in the qualifier, so that
he didn't complete. He had a 7 minute and 24 sec. He finished that. He DNF'd.
No, but that's Birkin.
Yeah, Burak was at the oh right, because this was this past weekend.
Yeah, so this is 1 week after the GT.
Yes, that's right.
So I don't know what happened because he was in the final in Nitro, but all right. So good run for Barrufolo. Weird. Well, this has been the sort of kryptonite of Ongaro, right? Like we always said that like he's had real tough races here, and on the other hand, this has been a really good track for Canas and really good track for Polito
and Boots.
And Boots, and it was again a really good track for Polito in the Nitro buggy. So Polito ends up winning Nitro buggy in front of Ongaro. So Ongaro finished second in both classes, Nitro and electric. Polito wins Nitro in front of Berton in third, who actually, I don't know if they had semis, but he started first in the main. Burak in fourth, Birkin in fifth, Clement in sixth. Then Sanketin, Trevisa, Masaja, Noah Ben Mohamed. Marco Barrufolo, he had good like speed, but I don't know if he had some issues because he was all the way down in 11th. Then Astorino and Boots rounding up the main, having a DNF. Yeah, great run for Polito. I think it's the second win in a row at this venue. And I think all of you guys kind of know the track, but we have some video. Are you bringing it up on the screen?
Give me a second.
Yeah, no worries. This is very famous from RCGP back in the day. Then they have the Reg GP here. They have the Italian race here. They had the B Euros here last year. We've seen some great fights with between Polito and Boots. We've seen the great fights between Canas and Ongaro. We've seen some great fights with plenty of guys here before. So yeah, it's been a good track for RC racing here recently. So I don't know if they've changed the layout again. Looks like they have.
Well,
I feel
they've
like they
kind
change
of
it every year.
Well, it's got some changes to it, but they're going also a little bit of a different direction. But lots of it still remains the same. I see they got bleachers with a roof on it now, so that's good. Like when you come up here, it's still a lot of the same sections. Like I've seen them go the other way through the bridge and come back around to the finish. Remember a few years ago, that's where the kerfuffle happened between Polito and Boots under the bridge. And then they came around Boots came around in front of him, and then Polito's pit team complained and got the decision overturned. Like that section still remains the same, but a beautiful facility. They have really cold beer too all the time.
Okay, that's good.
I'm be prepared because they have Italian toilets there. They don't have regular toilets, they have Italian toilets. But a beautiful track. It's kind of like Boots' home track. It has been Ongaro's kryptonite. This track has constantly frustrated him at times, but he gets a second, and it's a Polito, dude. Polito is legit. Like Polito beat him.
Yeah, and I think he even beat Ongaro at the previous round of the Italian Nationals. So I think there's I should have checked this before coming on air, but I'm pretty sure Ongaro he won the e-buggy nationals, but I'm pretty sure that it's not gonna be a runaway victory in the Italian championship Ongaro this year, which has been the case like I don't even know how many years in a row now. So it might actually be that Polito has a shot at beating Ongaro in the Italian championship, which would be a big upset. I think it would be crazy if that ends up happening, considering how good Ongaro is and how dominant he has been in Italy for a while. And I think that's just showing like how much Polito is developing. So good on him. Good on him.
You know what else I forgot? I just went back because I was looking for that about Barrufolo. Barrufolo actually won the 26th edition of the Kyosho Masters.
Oh yeah, that is true. Yeah, we had the Kyosho Masters at the end of May, so 2 weeks ago now. And Barrufolo won that. I think Berto might have been second, if I'm not wrong.
Berto was second, and I don't know who let's see, I'll tell you who the young man was. So Renault Savoia, I'll bring this up so we can read it. Renault Savoia TQ'd. And by the way, for people out here that don't know what this is just a race for Kyoshos. Only Kyoshos can go there. And JQ actually participated in this race last year. This is where they unveiled the MP11 to everybody's amazement. And let me read through this really quick. So it was Barrufolo who won the 26th edition, the multi-European champion Renault Savoia who took the Nitro TQ ahead of the 2025 champion Ricardo Barton. With Barton and Barrufolo winning the semifinals, Barrufolo's win ahead of Savoia, the top three. So Savoia made the main, obviously. Savoia would gamble on a changing of tires for the rain, but it didn't last as the track was drying quickly. So it looks like they had some weather. This is also a very European style track. It has wood, it has pavers, it has dirt, it has AstroTurf. When you think old school European track, you think of this. And it doesn't say who this young man is who came in third. I can't see.
Yeah, I don't know.
Third, Tim Kraus from Germany.
Ah, okay. I've heard his name before, but I didn't recognize him because I imagine that he's grown since I've last seen him on anywhere. So, all right. Good luck for those guys. Good job for those guys.
Good stuff. But Barrufolo's been on a roll, and is running those Jetco tires. Somewhere else he won where I was like, it was good. I'm gonna once I find it out, I will come back and let you know.
Yeah. I mean, he did good at the World's warm up. So.
Oh, you know what else we forgot to talk about? He finished third in e-buggy at the Italian e-buggy nationals, where Pecco finished second.
second. Yeah.
We had Daniel Kobovic. He won the 10 scale Euros warm up with Una Hotnen and Borak Kilik second and third.
Yeah, I think we talked about that last time we did a news show.
Okay.
So it was a few weeks ago already. So
right. Well, let's get into ETS and the kerfuffle that was that, and the little video that you had that's going pretty viral right now, or was?
Yeah, I think I had over 100K views, if I'm not wrong, when I last checked it. Probably has more now, but yeah, just to quickly recap the race. Coelho ended up winning. He TQ'd, I think he might have TQ'd all of the rounds. Maybe all but one. I can't remember exactly, but he was really fast from the qualifiers on. Orlowski very controversially won the first main, and then finished second in the following two. Volko got second in the first main and then finished further back in the next ones. I think he finished fourth in both of the next ones. It was actually kind of unlucky for Simon Lauta because he qualified third. He was really fast, but because of the incident in A1, he missed the podium because that awarded Volker a second place finish in the A1, and then he dropped fourth in the final standings. A debut for Reinhard under X-Ray banner. I'd say it went pretty well. Finished sixth. He signed for them like 2 weeks ago, so like I wasn't expecting too much. An honorable mention to Dominic Reiner. He's the 2000. I would like to say like 16 or 18, 1/10 Nitro on-road world champion in Gubbio, Italy. But after Nitro on-road kind of became a non-profitable thing for businesses, he lost his status as a pro driver, kind of went privateer for a while, stopped racing Nitro on-road altogether. In the last, I'd say like 5-6 years, he's been continuously racing ETS and getting better and better. And he this was the first ETS where he was actually well within the top 5 from the qualifying to the end, and he ended up finishing 5th on the Serpent car. So shout out to Dominic for kind of reviving his career, because he was never an electric on-road guy. He was always specifically Nitro on-road guy, and kind of reviving his career out of nowhere, switching from Nitro to electric, and actually starting to do good now. So yeah, well done.
Bring up,
well done to Dominic.
Bring up the incident. And also Dominic is most famous for maximum bullshit. This is in his interview, maximum bullshit bullshit in his top 3 interview. We need we need to get a voice clip, video clip of that. Do you have video of the incident? Let's talk about the incident really quick, because it's always some drama on.
You can explain.
So basically, it was actually a very good A1 because they were battling hard, and I was quite impressed with how Coelho was able to catch up to the rear end of Orlowski so fast, right? And kind of push him and push him and push him. Like the amount of patience it takes to stay behind somebody and not touch them, and still like it's like when you're trying to catch a fish and you got to nibble and you gotta jig it real quick. You gotta like twitch it to get him. It's like he will get up to him and then he'll pull back. You get up to him and pull back, and that went on for most of the A final till they came to this one corner. And then Max and I are on 2 different things. I feel Orlowski blew it and then kind of cut back in. I don't think it was on purpose. I think it's just a natural thing to do. You went wide. He just went wide. And like, if you can tell, kind of Bruno was kind of gonna, you say he doesn't, but I think he was going to make that natural move to the inside anyway. It was one of the few places that he could make a move. And when he meant for the move, Orlowski cut down, crashed into him. And then Simon Lawler got the lead for he didn't get the lead. He went to the second, but Coelho's car got pushed back out into the racing line, and Simon just boom smashed him and broke his car. And then Orlowski went on for the win. And when I listened to the interviews, Coelho wasn't mad. He was just like, yeah, we were racing hard. I think it was just a racing incident. So
yeah,
we should probably find it.
That was kind of weird. Yeah, I think the interview is here after the video. But yeah, we have here the.
I'll put the volume down her, and then we'll go through the incident.
Yeah, let's take that down so we don't have to listen to this.
So, but really, I thought guys would be a little bit more upset with that. But nonetheless, man, Bruno Coelho looked just amazing out there in the Infinity car, man. When I was watching that dude race, I was just like, man, this is why this guy is considered one of the best in the world, like in all forms of RC. It was impressive. It was impressive. And another thing I realized, I really, really do enjoy European on-road tracks. They are some of the most beautiful tracks and facilities I've seen. And I would love to go to an ETS or a big nitro race in Europe. I would love to go over in Asia as well. But absolutely stunning, the tracks in Europe. Are we ready?
I think the incident's coming. Yeah, the incident's coming up in the next lap. So I basically would say this was a racing incident. Like, yes, Orlowski goes wide, and I feel like Bruno is coming in a bit too hot. And then, yeah, here they just collide. And then carnage ensues because Latera hits Coelho, breaks his car because he hits Coelho so hard. Coelho runs into the grass, cannot really do anything. And Wurks actually comes into second. We can take another look at that incident. So we have, let me take one back more. So as you can see, Orlowski goes wide, like really wide. And I think what happens to Orlowski is he goes on power. And when he goes on power, his rear end slides out. So that's why you see him kind of cutting in. And Coelho obviously see that there's an opening, so he's trying to force his way in there. I think if Coelho was like further ahead, I would say that, you know, like Michal would deserve a penalty from that. But I think because like Coelho was still like considerably behind Michal, it wasn't like yes, Michal definitely closed the door, but at the same time, he like slid out, and Coelho was further back, and all of that. So I feel like it's a racing incident, you know, like both kind of misjudged the situation somewhat.
Yeah, and poor Simon Lauder, he didn't get to capitalize on any of it. For a brief moment, he was like,
usually. Usually it's the best spot to be third, but now he's suffered the most. I have the Coelho interview. I don't know if we have audio on this.
In this epic battle we saw out front, Bruno, you finished nowhere, let's say, maybe in this final.
I still finished third, I think.
Okay, so still finished third because I lost a bit track. Just before we talk about the end of the race, what happened in the first minute when Michal to jump into the lead?
Yeah, I think my tires were too cold, I believe, because as soon as I start, I felt I had no traction. And then my rear was super loose. So at the beginning of the straight, I kind of lose the rear, and that get the chance of Michael to pass me. And then I just follow Michael. I felt the car was really good. I was following him. I was trying to not, make any mistake. And then in the last lap, he overshoot the carousel. And of course, I tried the move. I tried to go inside. He closed the door, and then we crashed together, and then it was a big mess.
Yeah, I mean, before this incident, the racing was fantastic. As you mentioned, your car looked really fast. You have been braking so much for him. The racing was absolutely fair, which he also said he gave a lot of compliments for your driving. So it was, let's say, an unlucky incident. I would describe it like that. But are you still confident? Because tomorrow you will start from the pole position 2 more times. So it's still everything to play for.
Yeah, I mean, I think looking at it honestly and what we see in the qualifier, that we see so many people crashing and everything. I think what we did now in this final was really a show for everybody. To keep those cars on the rails, and drive together super close. It was really fantastic. Unlucky was the last touch at the end of the rail will be like an amazing final. But that's racing. We try our best. We try to do our best to win, and I did try my best to win, and Michael did try his best to win, and in the end, it didn't went well for me. It went better for him in the end, but it is what it is.
Okay, Bruno, thank you for the moment. Also,
Yeah, I mean, he took it pretty well, I'd say. Like,
Yeah. Orlowski couldn't be mad because he won.
yeah. But I think like, I mean, I can't think of it as any other than a racing incident. Like, I do think that Orlowski turned in, and I do think that Coelho like came in hot. Like, I
think they both came in
if
hot.
there is someone you would blame, yeah, like I think if there's anyone to blame, it would be like, or assign like more blame to. I would maybe go with Orlowski because he clearly lost the rear end and sort of closed the door because of that. But at the same time, like, I don't think that like I don't think that was such a big of a mistake that he would deserve a penalty for it,
No.
Like, it's
I don't
unfortunate, yes, and I think he was kind of causing it, but still, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that was a penalty. I think you have to go. Like, you have to. It was coming on to the end, and I think it was just Orlowski went a little wide, and he had that. Oh no! And then he cut back in, and Bruno was already committed. I think it was a racing incident. I think they both understand that, and they ran on, and then Bruno ran on to just win both A finals convincingly. While I was watching this, I was looking, and then I saw pictures like the guy from Monaco RC, his mechanic on the computer and all this type of stuff. Dude, this stuff is, electric touring car is like Formula One of RC.
100%. Yeah. Like
seriously.
I think the old idea was that, nitro on-road touring cars was the Formula One because of the high speed. But I think on the technical side of things, the modern 10 scale electric touring is the most advanced thing in RC we've ever had, like, by far. And actually, like, the craziest part is, I think, like, 8 scale off-road is the second most advanced. Not because of data logging or stuff like that, but I think the amount of testing and perfecting that goes into the setup and the amount of development is so vast because it's one of the most competitive classes. Like, I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong, but
I'd say this touring car is like Formula One because of the tech, and 8 scale nitro is like supercross, motocross. Not saying that they don't have to in that, but it's very much, we got to get out there, we got to test and do that type of stuff. You know what? That's actually a great question. Let us know in the comments of this show. What do you think? Do you agree with that statement? Is touring car more Formula One-esque and 8 scale nitro racing more old school? Not old school, but supercross, motocross-esque tech. I think that's a great example. Anything else to add before we go on, move on from ETS into some other stuff? By the way, great coverage as usual. This is an event I want to go to, and I'm now that I'm going to be running on road, I think I'm starting to like it a little bit more. But European and Asian on road, it's just not a lot of outdoor racing like this going on in the USA. Yes, there's pockets of it, but nowhere near like it is in Europe or Asia or even Latin America, I would say.
And I think the tracks are a big part of it in Europe. Like, we have these tracks with grass in fields that like have a big history. They look really cool. They look like full scale on road, where you have the grass, like, all of these classes, you have the curbs and so on. Yeah, I feel like a lot of the tracks, especially in America, are kind of like the old parking lot type of on road, where you have like a much smaller space. You have just a field of asphalt where you make the curbs and so on, which is like it's its own type. But I feel like it gives a different vibe, I think, and of course it also is like very different in car setup and driving and so on, which I think is part of the reason why Europeans are so good in on road, and okay, Japanese are really good as well, but yeah, I don't know. I ETS, like in the past, let's say post COVID, I think has taken yet another step towards being a more and more professional. I feel like they're the closest to being something like RCGP that we've ever had. I think they haven't really like adjusted the format to that, but I think the way the races are kind of automatically play out to that, where it's almost like a purely professional racing series, you know. And I think it's cool. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, I would agree with a lot of those points. And you know what, also the tracks being the same and having the names, it brings that Formula One type of, we're going to Silverstone, we're going to Monaco, we're going to Belgium this weekend, or we're going to Spa, and it adds that flavor. Now, if we could have some realistic bodies and different types, it would be great. But we're probably going to talk about bodies here. I think that's it for races. And now we're going to move on to some new releases and stuff like that. And yeah, I'm looking forward to my foray into on-road. Hopefully it goes well. I need tires, guys. Let me know what tires to get where I can get them from. All right, let's get into this, Max. And right now, we're going to get into some new releases brought to you by ML Toys. Check out ML Toys for all your power wheel and ride-on needs. All you dads out there who have kids who have broken their cars, this is where you can go get parts.
Are you looking to take your ride-on car to the next level? ML Toys makes it easy with plug-and-play modifications like motors, speed and brake controls, and more. ML Toys is the one-stop shop to make your ride-on car the coolest car in the neighborhood.
All right, thank you to ML Toys for all the support. ML Toys has also come on as a sponsor of our Worlds coverage that's coming up in September. If you're a company, you're interested in being a part of our NNRC Worlds coverage, hit us up. We have some spots available. Up first, we have 1/8 scale off-road Max. We have Team Associated doing what I predicted many years ago, but has been done all this time. It's just been disguised in a different name. They bring out the Team Associated B4.2, but not only is it's just not one car, it's two cars in one. No, it's two different cars for high traction and one for loamy blown out tracks. And I recall somebody on this show saying that one day 8 scale is going to go to that, a high traction car to a loamy blown out car. But hark, here is the caveat. It's kind of always been this way. It's just been disguised with a European edition and a USA edition.
Did Associated have that? I think they only did that. Yeah, I think they did that before. Like some European distributors were selling the EU kit on the last time.
They might have, but I know Mugen has done it.
Yeah,
for many years, and I know Kyosho has done it too. Yeah. But now we have a high grip track car, low grip track car, just like carpet and dirt in 10 scale. Boom, it's here. It's not going anywhere now.
Yeah, I think also, like, to some extent Mayako has been transitioning to this a bit. Like the model is obviously very different, and like the idea was that you could customize your car for the NPC. But I think with the newer style model that kind of Mayako has been bringing up, I think they have been getting more and more towards this. And if you look at actually Cavalieri and Pecco, they ran the stood up shocks car when they went to DNC and Silver State and so on, and then they ran the lay down car everywhere else pretty much. And you can see Cavalieri switching between the two, like between races. So I feel like that might be the future of Mayaka as well. But okay, let's get back to the associated car. Let me bring this one on screen. Obviously, we have some new stuff here as well. I would say that this release had maybe less new stuff that we usually get, but or like new specific parts, but there were some pretty neat updates. So one of the first ones was the rear hub. So as you can see from the rear arm, it's the same exact arm. They've just modified the mold and put in a second hole on the inside. And then they've made a new rear hub, which puts the hex more outward, which basically means that instead of having positive offset in the rear end, now you're going to have negative offset in the rear end. What this means is what I've talked about a lot in the past, is that we're going to have the chance to kind of be like an S-Works-esque thing or Mayako-esque thing, where you do have a pivot ball car, but you still have the sort of HB style rear end. So we remember a few years ago when S-Works were running those HB rear ends on their cars, and they were really loving them, and like, and then maybe after a year of running those, then they showed up with S-Works rear ends. And then when we asked about it from like a team guys, they just said, yeah, we set them up differently, and now we're running this. JQ has a bunch of videos about this thing. He compared the Kyosho to the Mugen on his Invisible Sea channel. But basically, to like really summarize everything, the idea is that when you have the hinge pin location on the inside of the center of the tire, when you look from behind the car or up from the car, basically, this will give you a negative scrub radius. And a negative scrub radius basically means that when you go on power, the tire will be sort of twisting itself towards more toe-in. So it will try to twist the arm towards more toe-in, and by this, it will generate more grip because it tries to, you know, the forces within the wheel and the hinge pin and all of that will twist itself into more toe-in, which generates grip. Additionally, when you have roll of the car, it will stiffen up the suspension because you will have the hinge pin more inside, so you will have a moment lever towards less jacking. So you will have a rear end which will naturally generate more grip and more like comfort when you go on power, especially. And then the opposite is true for the positive offset, which is when you have the hinge pin on the outside of the center of the arm. So these two are things that JQ explains very in depth in his video. So if you're really interested about the topic, you can go check it out, and he explains it in full. But I think this was the biggest thing about this new car. I'm not actually sure if they have been running this a lot. I know that from the post they said that the American guys were running it at PMB, maybe even DNC and those races during the early parts of the year, but at least at the PMB, and I believe some of the guys were running it at the World's warm-up. I do not think Ongara was running it at the World's warm-up, because when they released this video, they did not say that Ongara was running. They named drivers who was running it at the World's warm-up, but they did not name Ongaro. So I think Ongaro did not run these parts, but I don't know if he's been running them elsewhere. So that is still under question. They still have the option for both. So now they haven't changed the design. They just introduced a new tuning option. to have both options for the different conditions. Because the thing is, with the blown out American tracks, having grip in the rear on power is so important that you just need to have it, you know. And then in Europe, where you need a lot of like corner speed, a lot of natural rotation, you will like that, like and then also you have a lot of high speed corners. You will have the support on the entry with the old style hub. You will have the support at the entry of the rear end, and once you go in power, you will have the rotation. So that is that for the hub.
So, okay.
You have some
So-
questions?
Yeah, I wanted to briefly tell us some of the differences, the major differences. I know there's a shorter chassis for the more rough tracks, etc.
Yeah.
Yeah, let us know. I want to know those basics. Explain to people. Maybe going into an in-depth tangent is something you can do on Max's Tangents.
You think I can't do it on the news show?
We are already getting into our 90-minute limit, so we just blew that. But maybe we'll just do it in 2 hours.
Yeah. Okay, so another new thing, they had new materials and design for the brake disc and pads. That was something they promoted. They have adjustability on the diff casing. So this is something they tried at the Worlds, in e-buggy Worlds. On the front end, they had machined new arm mounts and shock tower where everything was lower, and then they put a shim below the diff case to raise the front diff. And everybody in the team changed it after, I think, the second practice day, and went immediately faster with it. So now they've included this as an option to their car. And I think Kyosho has it, X-Ray has it, Mayako has it. I think all of the brands are kind of noticing that to run the car on low grip and high grip, you will need to have the option to adjust the diff height to sort of correct for the drive shaft angles when you play a lot with ride height and so on. They did introduce new chassis stiffness, so they have one for new and I think for the front. They didn't have a picture here, but yeah, I think they introduced new chassis stiffness. Also, they had new drive shafts. I don't really know exactly what's different with them, but they said they have new drive shafts. They have updated the radio tray somewhat, according to the. I think they displayed is somewhat different to before. Doesn't look too different to me. And then they did mention that they had now the 8-degree KPI on the front end. That is something I tried to look up for this show. Like, I tried to look up if the B4 original ones were for 8-degree, but it didn't really say anywhere if they was. So I don't know if these are the same ones or if it's slightly different now. I'm pretty sure the same ones, but they call it 8-degree. They will also have as an option the B3.2 style knuckles. So you will have as an option to run either the big KPI or the small KPI, which is 8 and 16, I think the degrees are. And yeah, that's interesting to have as an option. Then the specific differences between the Euro kit and the America kit is mostly the chassis. I think there was some info thing about this. I should have probably had it ready to go here. But there was basically the chassis, which is different. So you have a shorter chassis for the America version and a longer chassis for the EU version. But apart from that, it was pretty similar. Like, there wasn't too many parts that were different between the two editions. So it's mostly the chassis, and bringing out the car with a new or like 2 different editions because of the chassis kind of does make a lot of sense, because chassis is like $100 probably. So if you know that the longer chassis is better in Europe, you make everybody buy the longer chassis in Europe. So having 2 kits probably makes a lot of sense. But I was actually hoping they would have a lot more stuff different between the EU and the USA kits. Just as a, thing to try. Like, it doesn't even have to be so that, like, there are, that, like, maybe it doesn't have to be necessarily like the better option, but just to have the different options in both. Because I think even if you look at Ongaro's car, he runs quite a different car than a lot of the Americans. So I think they might have come with different roll bars and springs and then the chassis, but that was pretty much it.
Would you have liked to seen some of those machined shock pivots that kind of spread the width of the lay the shocks down a bit more? Stuff like that. It like what Ongaro had at Montpellier.
Well, the thing is that Ongaro hasn't run them since. So, like, I think that is kind of a weird one because he ran them at Montpellier and never ran them after that at a race. So I'm suspecting that the setup has some flaws that probably doesn't work in a lot of different conditions. Like there was some specific reason why they ran it on Montpellier and haven't run it elsewhere. And I feel like that bringing it into a kit would be quite drastic. But I think that's something that is 100% something that I think these kits will evolve to. Like there will be, a high grip version and a low grip version. And I think Mayako is the first brand who kind of have them ready to go. And I'm like, I haven't discussed this with Pekka. Maybe you can ask him when you have him on air. But I'm like very, very certain that although like the people in MPC are still testing it on low grip, a lot of the testing so far that I've seen from the Mayako kind of suggests that it's going to be very difficult to make the laydown design work when it's low grip, low speed, and bumpy, all of those together. So high speed bumpy, high speed like high speed and bumpy or high speed and low grip, those work fine. But low speed, bumpy, and low grip, that's going to be a real difficult one for that car. And I think then the natural progression will be that you just have 2 different cars. One works on high grip, on medium grip, but the other one is kind of like a better overall car on medium and low grip, and then you have that for low grip tracks. Yeah, I feel like it just makes sense.
What would you say to the person that says, "No, I gotta have 2 complete cars ready"?
You don't. Like, you just don't. Like, for example, like if you look at like Rivkin's or Rose's setups, like I'd say they probably the only race where they have to significantly change the setup is Thornhill. Like if you look at any of the East Coast races or any of the West Coast races, like the grip level, yes, it's different. Like it's way lower at somewhere like Silver State, but the grip level is not that. Like I've been to both, and I pretty sure I ran the same setup at PMB as I did at Thunder Rally. Like I haven't been to Paris, so maybe Paris is much worse. I haven't been to the new Silver State, so maybe that's also worse. But my synopsis would be that the grip level is not so significantly different between the different tracks in America where you would have to have 2 kits. Not yet, but I don't think it will ever, like, yes, there are East Coast tracks that are really high grip, or at least when I went to the East Coast, they were.
So more tracks are getting sealed, more tracks are getting oiled. You watch. All right. You know what? That's it's going to be a progression. It's going to be a while. Actually, let us know in the comments. Will this be the norm? Will you have to have I'm telling you, people are already thinking, I need to have a high grip setup and a low grip setup. You got to have 2 cars ready to go and take 2 cars to races. I can see it already. But what do you think? Is this the natural progression of the hobby? Will we see more cars following suit? We already see, like I said, the Mugen has been doing it for many years. In the sense, Mayako is as well. And now A is one of the first big companies to basically say, hey, here's our our low grip car, and here is our high grip car. Keeping it 1/8 scale max, let's move on to the new Sparko. Now, I did talk to John Blaze, the team manager of Sparko at North Georgia Shootout a few months ago, and he said they had something new. So I think they've just gone in and toughened up the car a bit and put some new stuff on it. It is now the Sparko F8 SE Special Edition. You want to bring it out and geek out on it for a second there, Maxi, if you notice anything?
I did take a look at this car. This one was pretty much like an update more than a whole new model. It was just like a few specific bits that they had been running as option parts before. So they have the longer shock bodies. They have new C-hubs with more casta. They have the chassis length adjustment, so they can tune the length of the chassis with inserts. As you can see here, it has like you flip the insert and you get more length in the chassis or less length in the chassis. So it's like little bits and bobs that they've updated. It's still pretty much the same car, like lightweight shock towers, and they have slightly different shock geometry. But apart from that, it's pretty much the same car. So I'd say this is just like to avoid customers from having to buy stuff like after buying the car. So a good update, but nothing too crazy compared to like the Associated we discussed before, where they had actually changed a lot of the philosophy of the car. And also, I saw the list of parts. So they have the chassis, then they have, I'm assuming, the shocks and roll bars, and then they have different internal gears in the diffs for the Associated car.
Okay, for the Associated.
So not a lot of differences, but there's a few little things.
All right. Up next, in 10 scale off-road, we have the new Team Associated Factory Team Edition RC10T. This seemed to get a very good, what's the word I'm looking for? It was well accepted. It is basically a Factory Team Edition like they brought out the RC10. I like it. I want this over the RC10. I'm a truck guy when it comes to 10 scale.
I do feel like stadium trucks are a nicer class running outdoors. Like I feel like I really want to have a gas truck, but I don't have time to run every single class. So I don't know. I kind of see like classes like stadium truck and gas truck doing really well at ONS and races like this. So yeah, I can see this being a thing for that.
This is what I have interest in. I want them to bring out a GT like this with the big bore shocks, modern hardware, all this type of stuff. So interesting. I was watching a YouTube video. I think it's called Sticky Kicks RC. He's an English guy, and he was talking about vintage racing. And he did the math, and since 2023, AE has released 23 vintage racing kits. That's not including the there's gold and white 6x6 stadium, all those other crazy releases that they have. 23 vintage kits. That's including like the 28 scales and all that stuff. That's a lot. That is a lot of vintage floating around out there.
Yeah, and if I'm totally honest, like I'm not sure. Like you say you like this sort of modern vintage, but I don't know. I just feel like it's a bit unnecessary. Like why do we need to have like if we look at the front arms and the front geometry?
Because this is all stuff people are going to upgrade to on the other cars. Telling you. And this is a much cheaper version to do it this way.
Yeah,
their cars vintage, like how it was originally, but then it breaks and parts eclipse and all that. It's, vintage is fun, but then you got to remember the problems that come with vintage. But this is what I like. This is what I want. I want one of these, and I want a gas truck. This is what I have interest. This short course truck and gas truck are what I have interest in racing outdoors.
Yeah.
What do you guys? Do you like it? Are you going to get this? And is this as much savings as getting a vintage truck and doing it yourself? Well, maybe now, because you could probably get vintage trucks cheap. Probably can get them
I'd
cheap.
imagine.
All right, let's move on. We are going into 10th scale. Oh my goodness, we got a body rant coming up, guys. But it is significant because everybody pretty much used this body in ETS, and it doesn't look realistic at all. And it is what it is. But it seems to work very good.
Yeah. This is going to be one other tangent again. I'm sorry, Keenan, but this is going to be a good one, I think, because I want to get your opinion on this as well. Not on the sort of technical side of things, but on the basically future of on-road. So let me bring this body shell on the stage. This is by a German startup called Avalon Racing. They call this one Vortex. It was released after the previous ETS season ended in the mid-April. So basically the first visible things you see is that the front end of the car is kind of like a scoop. So instead of having the bonnet go, as what is it called? Like I don't know the word in English, but it's more like a scoop than like a rounded hood than most of the cars have.
So for me,
then
the hood goes in, and then you have the wheel wells above the hood. So that's it. It's creating that scoop that you're saying. Whereas usually the wheel wells would be under the hood. It would be a much more like that. Does that make sense? Instead, it's now concave instead of, I can't remember the other word for it.
I don't know the word for the other one in English. But basically that is on the front one of the biggest features. Then another feature is, I feel like this is obviously present in a lot of the other touring cars, but the front lip or I guess you call it the lip. You have really big one, and then when you go to the side of the car, you have these sort of little angular, sweeps there, and then the tire, the spaces around the tire are like very pronounced. Like I need to get on this terminology better, but basically the areas around the tires are very pronounced, and you can see it from the rear, especially. Wheel wells, yes, are very pronounced. As you can see from the rear, like they very much stick out from there. And then the roof of the car, I would say, is quite standard to the industry. I don't see it as being very different from the other stuff. But when you go to the rear of the car, you can see that the side sort of plane on the rear has a lot of area to give you that stability sideways. And then on the top of the boot of the car, you have this massive spoiler below the rear wing. So naturally, it's a very draggy body shell, but it apparently generates a lot of downforce, which was the goal for it. It was developed specifically for the modified class, where you don't need to really consider the drag too much. You can just focus on getting a lot of downforce. So here's a better picture. So you have these kind of like end fins even on the rear end of the car. So like on a normal car, you would just have the rear end like stop here, and then like have the rear end as like one wall. But on this one, they've chosen to push the rear end much further forwards and then have these ending fins on the side. So that kind of creates, I would assume that it would create like a much like a lower pressure region here in the back, which would then create obviously more downforce on the rear end of the car. And then here's some graphic like guidelines on the streak lines of the car. I don't know if these are any way representative of reality. Side profile of the car, we can clearly see the massive like scooping feature on the front, and then those spoiler in the rear. I don't like personally seeing the other touring cars in the market. It's not that different. Like if it didn't have this rear spoiler, I don't think you would even see too much difference in it, you know. But I think combined with the front end that is very scooped up, and then the rear spoiler, yes, it's very drastic design. So obviously, when this was released, people said that, you know, things have gone too far, and a lot of people hoped that maybe it wouldn't necessarily be the body to run. And those hopes, unfortunately, did not go through. And it was quickly shown that I think Lucas Urbain went to test in Apeldoorn before ETS. And what he found was that the body shell was significantly better than any other body shell he ran. And then when everybody showed up for ETS, some people had already prepared these body shells. Some people were preparing the body shells at the pits when they realized that the others were going really, really fast in practice. And actually, Paul Beck from is it Paul? Patrick Beck from ETS, who you saw in those interview with Bruno before, did a specific section on this, which I found very interesting. I'm gonna quickly take a look at this. So I think there's Matt's interviewing them and talking about it. So here is what I was explaining about the Lucas Urbain. So there was talks like there was 2 or 3 seconds faster over 5 minutes, and then everybody kind of had to start using it, because 2 to 3 seconds in on road in over 5 minutes is like, that's the difference of making the A main or not making the A main, basically. And then what ended up happening is every single driver in the A main ran this. So every single driver in the A main and most drivers in the B main ran the body shell. And it's actually quite an old design from these are the 2 designers. So let me get their names. So Julius Schäfer and Andy Kuhne are the designers of this body shell, and they have developed over a few years. Here's the same body shell on Orlowski's car. Here's on Lucas Urbain's car. And actually, the interesting thing about this body shell is, as you can see here, let me try to bring it even bigger. Oops. The way you have to cut it. So because of the downforce on this body shell, you have to cut the rear holes for the tires much lower, because you have to basically raise the body up really, really high, because it's going to be pushed down by the downforce a lot. So you have to raise the body up a lot and cut it in a very, like, I think this makes it look even uglier, that you have to cut it like this.
So the downforce is pushing it down. So I assume the wheels are just going up into the wheel well a little bit. It looks like that's what it's going on here. So the wheel well is just over the wheel, and then that allows you to cut it down. And then that wheel well has enough space where when it does go down, it doesn't rub against the body. That's actually that is actually pretty smart.
Yeah, but of course, the best thing would be that, you know, the body wouldn't go down that much. So I think what's going to happen is with this body shell, people are going to start using a lot more stiffeners. So we've been seeing like the stiffness on a lot of the touring cars, like the Spider stiffness from Innovate and I think Michele Manso, I think, is the Italian who developed one of those, and then Innovate, a Ryan Maker's company, developed other ones. So I think that level of making the bodies different will keep just extending, because you want to cut the body as close to the ground as possible.
Mhm.
Um,
Maybe it's designed like this, Max. Maybe it's designed for it to be pushed on. That's what they're counting on. That's why they have the wheel wells like that. Maybe all
no,
this
well,
to be used. Maybe it's
no, that's
like turbo mode, like like the like it's like, what is that called when the Formula One guys open up the wing, DRS or whatever?
yeah.
It's like DRS for on-ramp. Let me get on the ready, and then it's like DRS engage.
I mean, that's a lovely theory, but I think the issue is that, basically when you yeah, when you cut the body really high, what's going to happen is that air will be sucked under the body because it has lower pressure there. So the air will be from the sides, it will be sucked under the body shell. And when you have air under the body shell, what will happen is you will decrease the amount of downforce you have, and also increase the drag in the back of the car, because
You know
the air
what you
should
should
come
do?
out.
You should reach out to those guys, and you guys can spaz out on aerodynamics for 30 minutes in a max.
No, I
tangent.
think they I think they very well know what they're doing. So
But
I
you
don't
can
think
talk to them. I think my theory is right. The simpler
I don't think so.
But this is so. I don't want to go on too much about this body because we've been going on quite a long time. So the other bodies don't have the wheel well so pronounced is the word I'm looking for. Like they're just part of the body. Like the whole side of the body is going on flat, and you don't have the wheel well sticking out, right?
Well, let me try to bring up.
I don't know much about touring
Yeah.
car. I like it, but it doesn't, But this comes back to that F1 stuff, man. Every little bit helps.
So the Extreme Aerodynamics Twister body cell has been one that I believe a lot of guys have used in the past. The Twister Speciale, I think they call it, here. So it was released, I think, already in 2020. So it's quite an old body shell. I could be wrong. Maybe there's some newer one I don't know of, but this is the one that I think a lot of people have used. Oops, sorry, let me bring it up. Before, or at least this kind of represents what's been used before. Okay, here we have it finally. So if you look at this one,
it's different.
Yeah. So here's the differences from here. So on the front lip, it still has that very pronounced front lip, but it doesn't have this sort of rising edge on the side to really like throw pull the front sides down. It does have somewhat of a scoop feature, but the difference is that in the front it's more round, like it's opposite of concave. I don't know what the word is in English. So it doesn't necessarily direct air around it on the bottom and then over it on the top. It's kind of like all of it kind of goes over it. So it's less pronounced. And then same with the wheel wells, that it has much less pronounced wheel wells, which again, if you have very pronounced ones, it will push the body shell down. And then on the rear, as I showed you the picture before, you said about the tire going in, this body shell doesn't have that sort of feature at all. So like, yes, it has it slightly, but like this, like the rear wheel was sticking out on the side is not a thing. And when you have those things sticking out on the side, the air will try to go over it instead of here, it tries to go around it. So on the Avalon body, it tries to go over it. And when it goes over it, it creates pressure on the top of it. And then it pushes the wheel wells down. And then also this one, it does have a spoiler in the back, but it's very, very minor, like very minor compared to the one with Avalon. They still have the rear end sticking out, similar to the Avalon body shell I showed you before, but again, not as pronounced. So I think Avalon has kind of just taken the design into the next level. And they've kind of went with the more aggressive design to gain grip or downforce instead of like balancing between downforce and drag, you know, like this body shell has done, in my opinion. So having the rear air go above the rear wheel wells, having that big spoiler in the rear, all of that is going to push the rear end down of the car and the body shell down on the car. And that's why you have to cut the body shell so high up, because it will bend. Like you just can't stop all of the bending of it. Or you can, but then you have to introduce more and more stiffness into the body shell, which I think is the next step. I'm pretty sure that will be the next step, because the more down you can cut the body shell, the more downforce you will have, and less of the air leaking into the inside of the body shell.
So, and then the big issue is if this is because people don't like the looks of it. Well, I'm going to tell you something. The looks of touring car is not what it's been, what it started out to be. So it's like truggy. It's like people who with the old school truggy body back, but now the industry's moved on to where the cars are designed to run these bodies and everybody's running them. I personally don't care. I would love to see a more scale looking type of racing, but I don't think it's going to come in touring car or this class. It's going to come in parking lot stuff and Tamiya cars and things like that. What I like to see is go back to more stuff. Yes, but guess what? I'll take performance and innovation and stuff like this. You know who would probably be good to talk about this type of stuff is actually Danny Stockman, because he's a crew chief for a NASCAR race, and that's NASCAR is all about aero and different designs and what little scoops and this and that different, you know, a little tweak here makes such a difference and all that stuff.
Yeah, and the thing about NASCAR in, I think, around the 2010s or end of 2000s, early 2010s, is those things look like shit because there wasn't rules for like slightly bending the metal or the panels of the car. So what they would do is they would like, because they're only going left, they would make the car like ridiculously asymmetrical by bending all of that stuff. And then they would have an aerodynamic benefit of it. And I think that's kind of what's happening with RC cars in, of course, in a different way. But you have the rules say that it has to resemble somewhat of like a real car, and then you just tweak it little by little, bending those panels, making it into. And in my opinion, they don't look too bad. But like, of course, for a guy who really likes the old style, I can understand that they don't like how it look. And I feel that that's what's going on with this one. And then NASCAR obviously changed the rules and banned that thing. So here's my fix for this issue, and I want to hear your opinion. Okay, for anyone on-road guy watching this who's about to get mad, this is just my personal feeling, how I would like to see this. I don't run this class. I don't really, like care what happens. But if I was, the one who's making the choice, this is probably what I would do. I would take the hypercar body shells that we have had coming out. I would develop, similarly to F1, basically a cat design which has boxes for each section of the body shell. So basically, by the boxes, you dictate that this section cannot be stretched out more than this. This section cannot be larger than this. Then with like other rules, you dictate that you cannot have a thing sticking out more than this, or you cannot have a things like with curvature more than this. And you take the hypercar body shells of today, you measure, you look at them, you make sure that all of those body shells that you deem are fine and good now, you make sure that all of those body shells fits into this new rule set. Then you release this new rule set. You make this rule set the one that is going to be used in the class. And then if somebody finds a loophole and tries to do it, you just basically say, no, we're not going to allow this bullshit again. And end of the day. That's what F1 does. And I think it works pretty well. I think the hypercar in the full scale has a very different approach to it. It's a whole nother topic. I'm not going to go into it now. and that's why all of the cars look very different. But I think for RC, I don't really give a shit that do they look like real hypercars. What I give a shit is that they don't start looking ridiculous after some point. Like I don't want to see like ridiculous cars, but also I don't care if it looks like a Ferrari or an Aston Martin if it looks like it could be either of them, you know. And that's what happened in touring car. It doesn't even look anything like an old touring car from the 90s, which is where touring cars were based. And then I want to like say why exactly the LMP ones. I don't think we've ever had, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I at least don't know of a touring car series in full scale that has been four-wheel drive. That is just not a thing. If you look at the world,
in it to me a mini cup.
No, but I'm talking full scale.
Oh, sorry. No, I don't know.
Yeah. So like the idea of looking scale but running a four-wheel drive car in this category is ridiculous. We already have the front-wheel drive, which is the closest to scale thing to a world touring car, WTCC or BTCC or TCR car that it is. That's exactly the cars they're running. They're front-wheel drive and they have the hatchback look. And I think that's perfect. Then we have the F1 class already. And I think there's no, like, yes, you could go to GT, but even GT cars are rear-wheel drive. They are not four-wheel drive cars. So I feel like, because we run four-wheel drive cars, the only logical thing would be to make this class LMP or hypercar, because those are four-wheel drive as well, you know? And that's why instead of going to GT body cells, I think that is the next step. That's my point.
Bring up a hypercar body. Bring up a hypercar body while we're here, because we're going on a tangent.
An RC or a real one?
Or both. So you don't like this new body, then?
Well, my take is that I don't mind going this route, but there clearly are people who are not happy with. Mark Reinhardt posted about it. Bruno Coelho talked about it on the press conference of this event. Hara actually posted, even I think he was doing practice, that touring car is going the wrong way. So most of the top guys, or at least a big chunk of the top guys, do not like this development. And Bitti Design, Stefano Bitti, I think his name is, he posted about the LMP design. I've been talking about this for a while. And so there's two camps. One is, let's go back to the early 2000s cars, but they're not scale anymore. There's no cars like that anymore. You know, like that was 90s when they had cars like that in full scale. Then there's the other camp who wants to go to LMP. And then there's the camp who is like, it's whatever, you know, it's performance. But I think that is quite a small camp right now. So that is basically the situation right now. And I don't know if the LMP camp is actually like a considerable camp of like people, but I do think that is like the most scale thing we could do, because hypercar is also the fastest car apart from Formula One, and of course, like, that's something we cannot do. And it would make sense that the touring car would also be the fastest car. So
I don't know, man. I think it's already too far gone. You might as well go all the way.
Like, just keep the rules as it is and let it develop.
Yeah, might as well. What I would prefer to see is that I would prefer to see painted bodies, properly painted bodies. Then I just don't think you're going to stop it. And if you're going to stop it, then stop it. But somebody's always, this is going to be the rules, just like in NASCAR, just like in Formula One. People in where arrow and little bit makes a difference, like it does here, they're always going to be flirting with that gray area of the rules, right? And then it's going to be something else in a year's time that they don't like and that they want to put back. And I think it's too far gone. I think it's too far gone where they can put it back, like Truggy, like Bruggy. It's gone. You're not going to get it back. I said this to Charlie Mack the other day. It's not coming back. It's gone.
Yeah. Yeah, and
So-
I agree with that. That's why I said that we should start from a clean slate. Like, look at the LMP bodies now, make the rules based off of them, make sure that you cannot do what happened to the touring car, and then make that the new class. So I have here now the Zoo Racing Hyrax, which I think is the best looking one out of the hypercar body shells on the market right now. I know BT Design has a few cool ones as well.
Wow,
But they look like this basically.
that is an RC car body.
Yes.
That is badass, and it looks real.
Yeah.
Why ain't we running
that-
these?
Yeah,
I mean,
that
Almost that car is almost this, except for that stupid. You know what the other car looks like? It looks like a freaking Prius
yeah, yeah.
with the big front windscreen. That's what it looks like. This is freaking badass.
Yeah. That's my thought process. That's why I think, because these look like high performance vehicles, you know, like that touring car that we run now doesn't look like a high performance vehicle.
Oh my goodness, it's way. What? All right, don't even have to ask me twice. What do you guys prefer who are watching this on YouTube? If you're listening to this audio only, go search this stuff. But I 100% prefer bodies that look like this. 100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then if we look at the full scale stuff, I mean, they look pretty similar. Wait, let me try to get a.
Dude, that looks badass. That paint job badass too. Whoever painted that is uber talented.
Yeah, the paint job in this one is good, so it kind of like helps as well compared to the one color touring car bodies.
But that's nice.
Let me.
This is why I like 1/5 scale racing, dude.
Yeah.
1/5 scale racing. The bodies look like real cars.
Yeah. Why can't I find a good picture of this
That's nice.
hypercar?
Take that off.
Okay.
Very
Here we
nice.
have the full scale stuff. So I mean, I think it looked. I'm not entirely sure, but I actually think that one I showed could be the Ferrari. No, I don't think that's the Ferrari, but this is what it looks like in real life, and I think these look really cool. And yeah, I just think like it's gonna be quite scale, like it's gonna be looking like high performance vehicles. It's 4-wheel drive in real life. It's 4-wheel drive in scale. I don't see the issue with this, but of course, if you grew up on touring cars, you have an attachment to that type of body shell. That's the thing. Like we don't have an attachment to that. We just think looks cool. Let's do it. You know.
I wonder if the performance suffers. I wonder if it's really like their shit. So if you're an on-road racer, because we know nothing about on-road. By the way, my opinions on on-road are not formed by anything besides what I see and what I like. So don't be mad at me for my opinions on this, but I am very ignorant when it comes to on-road. I'm trying to learn. We're trying to do more on-road stuff. But do these significantly handle worse than the other cars? Does it make the racing worse? There might be a legitimate reason. If you guys know, let us know in the comments. Because I want to move on, because we've been beaten. This is actually a very good topic, and I prefer the other cars. But yeah, interesting stuff.
Wait,
and then everybody running the same body gets boring too.
Yeah, that is true. Like I feel like that's the thing about the LMP or the hypercar style body shells is you can try to create. Like I feel like after a while, when there's a development race for the best body, I feel like there is going to be much less differentiation between the different brands because of the fact that that body shell will generate quite a bit of downforce. So like the rear wing and all of that will generate a lot of downforce. So I think the differences between the body shells at the end of the day will be less noticeable, because for the touring car bodies, it's like there's so few ways to generate downforce. So like the body has to be perfect to generate the max downforce. So I could be wrong about that. Like maybe at the end of the day it backfires and it becomes like a huge development race. But I don't know. I like this. I think it could be a thing. But actually, I would like to have like some people from the on-road scene who are like invested in this, like
Mhm.
come on the show. We should have like an on-road only episode, because I feel
agree.
like I'm somewhat invested in on-road. I've raced it before. I've followed it all my life. Where I think you are kind of out of the scene altogether.
Well, I'm gonna be doing
But I
on
yeah, but I'd say like we're both still outsiders looking in. So
We did get asked to do more. But
yeah,
anyway,
now we're
let
doing
us-
it. Now we're doing
yeah,
it.
and who would be a great guest to bring us on and have Max geek out on this? We've had Hagberg on her. I want to bring somebody who is like a average, regular geek like this, or above average.
Maybe
right, let's
I'll
move-
contact the Avalon guys, because they are the one who's created this. But I bet I'm very certain that if we interview them, they're not gonna be like, "Oh yeah, this looks amazing."
No,
They're gonna be
you-
like,
You are going to interview him because I am not going to sit through that science mode. You will have to do that. And another thing, I would say that their body is almost like a hybrid version of the hypercar in some form, like with the wheel wells, with the body tucked
Yes.
inside. It's very hypercar-esque. So they're moving in that direction. Just got that stupid Prius front end on the front. All right. Let's move on really quickly to Nitro On-Road, which is a 3D printed pipe manifold for GT cars. That's pretty interesting.
I love how you started that sentence and you was like, "Max, what the fuck?" And then you ended that sentence with like, "That's actually pretty cool."
Bring it up.
So we have from IFMAR, which is I think they've been kind of taking GT the most seriously of the engine brands. Aluminum 3D printed pipe manifold. So instead of having, I think they're welded, the off-road stuff and so on, they have like tried to 3D print the exact shape that they find. And I feel like maybe this could be like the next development in engine tuning and stuff like that, because you can do so much with 3D printing, and like specifically for development, not necessarily for like sales, but for development, you can do so much little intricate changes that I feel like there could be something. I feel like there could be something in this. You can do like very natural shapes. You can do topology optimization within the engine. Maybe we're going to see a 3D printed engine case one day. I've seen these 3D printed materials where, especially metals, where the metal itself is very porous. So like the material like just goes through the metal basically. And I feel like something like this could work in an RC car engine, like because we have a very weird fuel flow and all of that. Like I feel like there's some place in the engine where this technology could work in, and especially the porous technology I was talking about. So yeah,
I don't want to get onto this much. That is actually a very cool product, by the way. It is very cool. It looks like it's silver plastic printed, and I think they printed it to get that angle that they needed and wanted, right? They probably couldn't get that angle in welding, or it's probably very hard to replicate. And you bring up the porous metal. So are you thinking that because the pipes and all that stuff store so much excess fuel and burnt fuel, are you thinking that that stuff is going to go through the porous metal? Wouldn't that cause an air link somehow?
No. I'm talking like inside the engine. So when the fuel goes inside the fuel air mixture goes inside the engine through the crankshaft, and then you have these channels where the air travels to you have the you have the piston, and then you have the cylinder. Like those channels, what if you did those channels from like a porous material? So you would have the flow coming out of all sides or all places, and then you could do like very, very intricate design in there by 3D printing it all together. Like I feel like there's something you could do inside that. Like for pipes, of course, you cannot use the porous material, but
okay, that's where I was confused.
Yeah, no. I was talking about a different thing, but yeah, I think this is cool, and I think we will see a lot more stuff like this in the engine market in the future.
I agree.
So,
Just period
yeah.
in metal 3D printing and RC period. Because
Yeah.
in the crawling world, mini crawling world, and crawling world, like 10 scale crawling world, it's a lot of 3D printed stuff. So
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
and then we're gonna move on to some cool stuff and industry news. We have a couple of just some quick topics in here. We have R1 Wurks bringing out some titanium drive shafts. That's for all these stock guys out there. They want to get that lesser rotating mass and get that quick zip.
Yeah, well, actually, the thing is that the titanium part, I think there's other brands who've done it as well. The titanium part is not the part why I really wanted to bring this up. The reason why I really wanted to bring this up was because of the barrel design. So let me bring this on screen. So the barrel design on this one is with bearings. So you know how like JQ and I and a lot of other guys, we talk about axle plunge a lot, you know? And especially on AstroTurf in 10 scale, it is usually been very, very beneficial to have very smooth drivetrain, because when there's bumps and you have the power going onto the wheels, you will have the car stiffen up and start bouncing a lot. So when there's a lot of little bumps, you want the drivetrain to be really free. So I feel like this solution where you have bearings as the barrel for the drive shaft joint, the CVA joint, that will 100% take out a lot of friction within there, and with that, a lot of actual plunge. So really cool stuff. I would like to see how these work on the car. I feel like for Astro, I feel the most interested about this, because I remember back in the day when we was running Astro outdoors in Finland, these guys were rebuilding their drive shafts every run, because like it was so bumpy that when you went on power, it would stiffen up the car and make it really difficult to run. So yeah. Then of course they're titanium, so they're much more lightweight and so on. So that is also cool. But especially because I hadn't seen this design before on off-road. I've seen the bearing designs on on-road stuff. So that is already a thing in on-road. But haven't seen that before in off-road. So yeah.
It's actually pretty interesting. I wouldn't want to run that out in some loamy dirt though.
Yeah, I would imagine that there would be some difficulties running it on like loamy stuff, and like especially when it's like a lot of dirt and if it gets wet and so on. And I bet there would be a lot of maintenance on them. But at the same time, I think it's pretty cool. I think it's good.
Cool. I'm really cool. That is actually really pretty cool. All right, up next is TLR Horizon Hobby brings back the racer payout program. I think this is a good thing. I thought it was a good thing when they did it.
Yeah, why was it away? I haven't really followed this story.
I'm sure some TLR loyalists will tune in here and let us know. But they went to some sort of other different type of payout program. And I'll be quite honest with you, dude. I've said this before, there is a lot more especially in 10 scale, there is a lot more TLRs at the track. But they got a good deal when they go for the hill package, because they got a good deal on all the Horizon stuff, all the anything that Horizon makes, they got a good deal on. So, and now they got a little RPP. I always thought the RPP was great. It's not the first time we've had contingency for non-professional RC drivers as well. So
yeah,
I'm all for this as long as it's upheld and people get their monies and people run the products that they're running. I'm happy. I'm good with it. No problem there.
Okay, I'm looking at some of the payouts, and So here's the payout. So I don't know if they're paying per class.
Well, you
Like
got it
per
depends on
brand?
what products you're using too. If you're like using a TLR chassis with Proline tires and like the whole package, you'll get more. That's how it was when it first came out. I don't know if it's the same now.
Yeah, but I don't really know. Like, so I think you can, if you run TLR, Proline, Spectrum, and Trinity,
Mm-hmm.
you get a payout for all of those.
Yes.
So,
Well, yeah.
So if you win stock or spec class in a tier 1 race, I don't know exactly what tier 1 races are, but I imagine they are like the nationals or whatever. Your payout would be, well, it's not that big. It would be 500 times 4, so that's 2K. It's not terrible.
That's still great. That pays for your trip and put some pocket money in there. So I think it's great.
Yeah.
I think it's great. It's great. Also, let's move on. Our last bit of news before we get into our final tangent of the day. Latera Racing, who have been sponsors of the show and supporters of the show. I met them, Kim and Martin, way back in 2022. David Ronnefalk and there's lot have taken over Latera Racing and moved it to a different area. And Ronnefalk is back in the RC shop business. So selling a lot of X-ray stuff.
He had his own shop. But I think what happened is he had his own shop. Yeah, then Latera bought his inventory and now David bought it back.
So I did talk to David. We are going to have him on her for a chat. He did get recently married. I was correct about that. But now he said that between him, his dad, and his family, they're all going to work this. And it's looking to be quite a good deal for him, the way he explained it. So when I get him on her, we'll talk about it more. And I think this is a sign of David looking to the future and what can happen, And I also talked to him, and he said it's off-road focus from here on out.
Yeah, I think the guys were quite on-road heavy before under the Latera banner. And I feel like on-road is just really suffering in the Nordic countries altogether.
No. I mean, no. David is on-road only, not Latera.
Oh, David is on-road. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Sorry.
That makes more sense then.
Sorry, he is not on-road only. He is, I would say, way more focused on off-road now. I think with Reinhardt coming in to do touring car.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that he won't do any touring car racing. I think, like we talked about, David doing touring car on carpet is still good. But I think his focus will be on 8-scale and 10-scale racing. And this making, being a father and running the business now. He still has his track as well. So
yeah,
good move. And thank you to Latera for their support while they were here.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Latera name will stay, right?
Yeah. It's still going to be called Latera Racing.
Yeah. I mean, even for Latera, like the fact that David has more time for off-road, I think that means he's going to race more in Sweden as well, which is good.
All right, let's get into our final thoughts. That's brought to you by Techno RC, Sidewinder Racing, and Beach RC. And our 90-minute show is slowly turning into 3 hours.
It is.
Techno RC. Techno RC is a championship-winning manufacturer of high-performance 8-scale, 10-scale, nitro, and electric RC buggies and trucks. With a worldwide dealer network, USA and Europe-based headquarters, comprehensive warranty program, and global race support, Techno RC is excellence in RC. View the full lineup of Techno RC race-proven vehicles by visiting www.technorc.com.
Thank you, Techno, for all your continued support. They came up with some new parts here recently. Also, a big shout out to Sidewinder Fuels. Morgan Fuel has been collaborating with many of the world's top drivers for over 40 years. That has enabled them to test their fuels in some of the most challenging situations to take the development of competition fuels to the next level. That is Sidewinder, the market's most powerful racing fuel. This fuel has been track tested and proven by national and world champions such as Ryan Cavallari, Ryan Mayfield, Greg Degani, Mark Pavitas. Their current top drivers, Young, Long Win. These drivers appreciate that Sidewinder is blended perfectly for the high performance needs of competitive racing. Don't let victory slip through your fingers. Purchase Sidewinder today. If you're interested, hit up Greg Degani. Hit me up. I'll try to get you in contact with them. Thank you, Sidewinder, for all their support. And a big shout out to Beach RC for all their support. And we thank them for all that they do. Let's get onto Max's tangent. Also, by the way, we have a affiliate link in our written description for Beach RC. Using that will help us out. We greatly appreciate it. All right, Max. So I saw that one of your videos people were commenting on quite a lot, and it was about rear motor versus mid motor and all that type of stuff. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't listen to the tangent between you and Salvaggi. I just trusted that it was a tangent. And I saw people in the comments, but great video nonetheless. This is your baby. I'm gonna let you run with it.
Yeah, well, I noticed Ryan Mayfield running what we call an RB10 these days, which is the old B5 platform that has the sort of RC10-esque chassis plate. So it's also like this is the platform they also use for the RTR car. So let me bring it up on screen so we can take a good look at it. So it uses the B5 front end, I believe. There might be some B6 parts there, even I'm not entirely sure. And then it uses, I'm pretty sure it uses the B5 rear end parts. And then the center plate is like the B5 used to. I think the B5 even have a plastic chassis at some point. I could be wrong, but it has kind of like this like RC10-esque. I think it is aluminum, but I could be wrong. I don't remember exactly what they made this out of, but this similar style, but in blue. He ran this in the mod class. Like he ran this rear motor buggy in the mod class at the ONS round 2. And there was one comment who said that, he TQ'd. So the rear motor buggy must be faster. Rear motor buggy must be quicker. And he commented on the video I made because we released it the week before, or like on Thursday that week. And then he commented straight after the race that, Mayfield TQ'd with the rear motor buggy. And actually, he wasn't the only one. I think Lee Setzer was also running the RB10. So I think this is the first time in a long time when we've seen a mid-motor car versus a rear motor car in action, like as a modern chassis. Because we've had rear motor cars running. We've had the vintage class at various of different events. And you could see the vintage cars run on the same track and so on, but it's still a vintage car. Well, this is as modern as a rear motor car gets as of now. Like, I think there could still be a lot of development on it if the companies really wanted to do this. But I would still be confidently saying that this is as developed as a rear motor car could get. You know, it has the new shocks, it has the all of the geometry of the modern cars in the front, and it has the sort of new bits and bobs, new drive shaft hubs, whatsoever. I did some background checks on this before making this segment, and I went through all of the tracks in the history of the 10 scale worlds. And I came up with a statement which went somewhere along the lines of this. Wait, let me get this up. So somewhere along the lines of this, I said that there would not have been a a world championship winning car since 1993, and that was a rear motor. And I based it on the fact that in Vasa in 2019, when we had one of the last Finnish national, I think even 2022, we had still nationals in Vasa in Finland, on that track that people ran a mod car in, or ran on the dirt, ran a mid-motor car in, and that was the laydown mid-motor car in. And nobody even thought about running a rear motor there. And in 2011, they ran the rear motor, and that was the end-all be-all. They ran the B4, I think, at the time. And then with the ONS specifically. So I went to look at the times. And so Mayfield's best time with the RB10 in qualifying was 5:14, 12 laps, 5:14. Rivkin ended up losing him in round 1 and round 2 because of making mistakes. He still had better best laps, but he ends up making mistakes. In round 3, he gets a clean run and runs a 12:5:05, so 10 seconds faster. Now, in the mains, they still fight for the win. So Rivkin's best run in the mains, he wins it in A1 and A2, but Mayfield's not that far away from him. And his best run is 12 laps, 5:09. And Mayfield's best run of the event is 12 laps, 5:10. So, of course, it looked like he's really close. Like, it looks like he's really close. But then when you go look into his like top 5 laps of both of these guys in the mains, we can see that Rivkin's average top 5 compared to Mayfield is more like half a second faster. Average top 10, of course, okay, they ran 12 laps, is almost a second faster in qualifying. Then they ran in the finals when both of them are running fast. Rivkin's running again half a second faster, even though he like Mayfield starts from the front and so on and so on. So I think like this is a good showing that there is a clear pace gap for Rivkin. And in the main where he runs his best time, he also runs a best lap of 24:3, and Mayfield's best lap of the event at any point was a 24:7, and in the specific final he ran a 25:0. So I think even though we had this situation of Mayfield running the RB10, top qualifying, and starting from the front, and it's the most developed rear motor buggy that we've had in history, and it's put against the laydown buggy of Rivkin. You can see that it's not competitive. Like, yes, he got the TQ because the track was wet. Rivkin probably didn't have his setup dialed and so on, but there's like no comparison. He's half a second faster per lap. Basically, all throughout the rest of the event. And I think now, for anyone who's like saying that, oh, rear motor is better, blah, blah, blah. No, it's over, guys. The era is over. And like then, okay, some people will say, but he got close, and Mayfield's not like a top guy in 10 scale, and Rivkin is. Well, it's not like Rivkin runs on these tracks on his like B7 or 667 car or whatever all the time. So like, no, I don't like wanna accept, or I don't accept that argument that like Rivkin is a better driver in 10 scale and he should do better at this, because it's new for both of them. And they're both basically starting from the same level. And if you look at or listen to the conversation me and Andrew had, basically we said word for word that the rear motor car is easier to set up. It has a much wider window. But then when you actually start going fast, you cannot reach as high a peak. And Rivkin running the laydown car, when he's out of that setup window, slow, gets beat by Mayfield in qualifying because he has 2 bad runs and only 1 good one. But then when he gets his shit together, gets the setup into the narrow window and finds the high peak, he's better, significantly better. And I feel like no matter what the people say that, oh, it was close, I feel like this perfectly proves the point that me and Andrew made, that the new cars on almost all the surfaces, I went back to looking at the tracks, looking at how they looked. I found some RC Magazine pictures, and I will confidently say that if we go back all until 1993, all of the worlds after that would have been won by a laydown car if that was available back then. So I know some people are going to feel like that's a controversial take, but I'm saying that the times have evolved. The rear motor buggy by design is not as good when it comes to at the very peak of RC racing, like the tippy top of RC racing. But as we said with Andrew, racing with a rear motor buggy probably is easier, probably is more fun, probably might be even faster for a lot of the not so talented guys as like these top guys are, because like they might not be able to, especially in mod, because they might not be able to control the power, they might not be able to control the grip when it gets really low. And that's exactly the point, that for a lot of the regular guys, rear motor might be better, but for the top, it's not. It's not now. It never will be again. And yeah, that's that. I think it's. I'm happy that they did this, because I feel like it's kind of settles my the point of talking about this. Maybe they could have like a testing session and trying to evolve the RB10, and then we could try to get it closer. The argument still is that if Mayfield and Rivkin would test both of their cars, the RB10, and even switch it around, like I would say Mayfield would still beat if he was running a P7 and Rivkin was running an RB10, Mayfield would beat him, because I feel like these guys are at the level where when the car is in the window, the laydown car will always be better. And
It would be a great shootout.
But yeah, I think so too.
Like go back to back and let Mayfield drive that car, race Rivkin. It sounds like the rear motor car is exactly what I need in my life.
Yeah, I think actually, like if on the ONS, I'd say that probably anybody outside the top 5 probably would do just as well, or maybe better even, with the laydown car, depending on how they drive, of course. If there's some guy who's really gentle on the throttle, they are going to benefit with the laydown. Even if you're not a top driver, as long as you're gentle on the throttle, you're going to probably benefit from the laydown car. So
you know what?
Yeah,
I'm sure there's going to be many comments to your rebuttal. Please,
100%.
Yeah, we want all the comments in the YouTube. Let's get that algorithm going. Do you think Max is right now? He's laid down the proverbial gauntlet to you guys, saying that he was not right. So there you go.
Yeah,
Max speaks. All right. So not as long of a tangent as I thought it would be, but it was very interesting, the tangent. Well done, Max. Well done. All right, Maxie. I think that's all for RC News this week. We've gone through all of our topics, and we have gone an hour and 10 minutes over schedule, but still less than what I thought we would do. Thank you, everybody, for the tuning in. We hope you guys definitely enjoy this. Thank you to the NNRC squad around the world. We can't do this without you. Patrons and YouTube members, you will get full access of this show right away. Also, don't forget to hit that like notification button. If you are new to the channel, we are trying to get to 10,000 subs and beyond. So we are almost there. And a big shout out to all the companies that make this possible. We do have links for them in the written description of this show, as well as links for our YouTube membership, our patrons. We have some affiliate links for all of them. You can see them there: Jconcepts, High Tech, Invisible Speed, Sidewinder Fuels, ML Toys, Elite RC Productions, Get Shit Done Coffee, Techno RC, One Up Racing, Beach RC, A Main Hobbies, SMC Batteries, SJ Racing, and Shaw's Truck Nationals. Max, I think you're going to get a lot of comments, and I think that's a good take. And I thoroughly enjoy talking on road with you and bodies, which is something that I usually don't. So good stuff.
Really?
Thank you all. Yeah. Thank you all for the support. We got a lot more videos coming up. INS is next. We got some recaps coming up we have some recaps out with that. Make sure you go check them out. And Max and I will be back, I guess, in a week or so. And there's some more RC news. Max, anything to say to the public before you go?
Nothing much. I think this was a good show. We got to talk about things we usually don't talk about, which is touring cars and well, we talked about 10 scale quite a lot recently, but it was very light on 8 scale this week. So
yeah, and we are looking for somebody to join the 10 scale side. So Max, who thinks that Max should go interview the Avalon guys? I think it would be 1 hour of pure science mode that some people will like. You know, like my buddy LW4, he loves Arrow. He's always messaging me about Arrow. I'm like, Larry, you got to message Max, not me, because I just don't have a clue what's going on. Thank you all for all the support. Good luck to everybody at INS this weekend. And may you be wherever you're racing this weekend, be a great RC ambassador. Have fun and put it on the box. If not, at least you had fun and get home safely. From Max and Lefty, this is your RC News. We thank you guys for tuning in. We are out. Check you guys later.